Alex Bard, creative director.
And what are you guys showing off here at PAX West 2018?
This is Due Process. It's a 5v5 tactical shooter. Emphasis is on teamwork and planning. So there's a planning phase in the beginning of the round. You got about like a minute and a half to make a plan with your friends on how to attack or defend a room. What makes this whole thing work is all the maps are procedurally generated, so you have to make a plan every round. And really what the game becomes about is about counterplay, right? So it's like, there are objects in a level that, like our breaker, which you can switch off for a big tactical advantage for the attackers, right? And on the defending side, you have to figure out, okay, how many people do you want to split to defend that versus the bomb, right? And so it becomes basically about, understanding your opponent, figuring out what they like to do, and then figuring out the best way to counter them. So.
And what engine is this built on?
This is Unity.
Unity runs on all sorts of platforms. What are you guys focused on leading up to your release?
Just PC for now. Other things TBD, but really what we want to do is nail our PC launch first, and then from there we'll branch out.
So in the pre-planning phase, like how many different kinds of strats have you guys kind of created, or are you still kind of discovering new things in your game's meta?
There are new things happening all the time, but like some of the favorites are like, you might do something like, okay, we're gonna push up the hallway with 2 shields, right? So your whole force is behind these, impenetrable shields, and then we're gonna count on the enemy like pushing us and staging to counter. And then really the whole plan all along was to throw a frag grenade at that new formation, and then you wipe out 3 or 4 guys, easy take, you got it, right? And other things could be like, okay, maybe you do, like Vince and I, he's the lead designer, I'm the creative director, we play together like almost every day, and so we're at a very high level of understanding each other. So he knows that I really love going for the breaker, because like once you get those lights out, it is pitch black, like you can't see anything. So he, in like the attackers, they have night vision goggles, they've got flashlights, so they own the night, right? I love that moment, and so he knows that, but I know that he knows that I like to do that, right? And so it might be that I'll feign an attack for the breaker, right? And instead of going for it, right, I actually have another team enter, and they'll flank the position that they'd use to defend the breaker optimally, right? And that's sort of like what we're hoping to do with this game is like, once you get to that like deep understanding of the game and your opponent, right, you can be very, very clever, and it's really about the mind games, that kind of like chess-like experience of predicting your opponent rather than, just shooting,
So what kind of games from the past influenced some of your gameplay and like the planning decisions when you guys were deciding to make this game?
Yeah. I grew up on like old tactical shooters like Raven, Shield, and SWAT 4. And really, with those games, like they had the realistic weaponry, but like the tactics just wouldn't always come through, especially in like public multiplayer. And what we wanted to do is like, okay, let's make a tactical shooter where we're going to focus on making sure that tactics come through, like the most interesting part of the game, and then have that be something that everyone plays, and not just like exclusive groups. Like, there are many like tactical shooter groups out there that play the game seriously, but it requires considerable effort and organization to get to that level, right? We're going to make it so that everyone can play that experience.
Sure. And another thing I noticed is the art style is very distinct. What games were you guys looking at from that perspective, or is it something in Unity that you guys just kind of saw and made it look really cool? Because the game's art style really pops. It looks different.
Yeah. We were inspired by like old Sega games like Time Crisis, I guess it's Namco, but like that kind of like what we call kind of like the Sega arcade style, right? Is like Sega Rally and the whole Time Crisis series and all those Lycan games, right? Like what we love about those worlds is that they're very simple and readable, and they also liberate us from like the expectation of realism. So it's like, with this kind of art style, we don't necessarily have to have one-shot headshots, right? Like we can have them be 2 or 3 shots depending on the gun. And with that, it makes the game, it's a video game, right? Like we want to make a game that's fun above all else, right? Get it as close to real as possible. I mean, like we have things like you have to pick up all the weapons and ammo. Like you don't just come pre-baked as a character, right? We have pretty realistic weapon modeling. Like you can have a bullet in the chamber independent of the magazine, right? But what we wanted to do is just like it's still a game world, if that makes sense.
How does it feel to see all these people at PAX West lining up to play your game, try it out?
Oh, it's wonderful. I mean, like when we got here, pretty much instantly line capped, and it's been a great response. A lot of repeat customers. So.
And when is the game on track to come out, or early access, or where can people find out more?
Soon. We have a website up, so we've got alpha signups there, dueprocess.gg, and after that we'll see what the plans are, but we have no public release date yet. So.